It's all over. It's in every town and every city. It's in villages.
They're everywhere. They're all over town, every shop. Every time I go to town, I see at least one of them.
The problem in this country is so monumental that it's far easier to pretend it's not there.
What is this place that you're taking me to? Just talk me through it.
It's where sexual activities happen. When it's dark, it's quiet. There's no one here. You can't see anything up here.
It's really desolate, isn't it?
It's bleak, yeah.
Sarah is not just haunted by the men who sexually abused her from the age of 14, they still abuse her. So how much further?
A bit further.
I don't suppose there's much traffic here at night?
No, not at all.
This is a story about authorities failing to act and protect women who report sexual abuse. And we begin here on the West Yorkshire moors, where Sarah was taken and attacked by her abusers after speaking to the police.
They raped me first, and then they said to me, stop speaking to the police, don't speak to the police, why are you doing that? All that kind of stuff. And then he hit me, he cut my stomach, and then he hit me around the head.
He cut your stomach? What with?
Like a blade from an old pair of scissors.
Sarah believes the attack was a warning because word got out that she'd reported historical and ongoing sexual abuse to the police. She wants us to tell her story because she feels officers failed to protect her. She has nowhere left to turn, and many women and children are at risk. To protect her identity, we're using a false name, and an actor is voicing Sarah's words. After the attack here, she fled across the moors. So you ran down to the lake and then, you went all the way across there? How far do you reckon you ran?
I went nearly back into town.
Sarah says this is a regular spot where gangs take teenagers for sex.
Never ever seen a police car up here, ever, ever. I've told them, other people have told them, I'm sure plenty of other people have told them.
Experts in child welfare have told us, despite high-profile attention on the problem, grooming gangs are still very much at large across the UK. One former detective who blew the whistle on Manchester Police's failing to deal with the problem later set up a foundation to help victims. But Maggie Oliver says the police have not learned lessons.
In the past year alone, we've helped more than 2,000 victims. These are all desperate victims who have been abused and are being fobbed off by the authorities.
How many of them are saying the police aren't helping me? How many of those 2,000 say I'm not getting any help from the police?
Just think about it. Why would they come to us if they were being helped?
Very good evening to you. 6 people have been found guilty of a range of offences involving the sexual exploitation of teenage girls in Rotherham.
These men sexually abused vulnerable young girls in the Oxford area.
Hundreds of girls are thought to have been abused in Telford over 2 decades.
Huddersfield has joined an infamous list of English towns and cities where young, vulnerable white girls have been groomed by groups of men, often of Muslim and British Pakistani heritage.
While child grooming isn't confined to any racial group, there is concern that sensitivities over race prevented action being taken. A report in Rotherham in 2014 found authorities often viewed the victims of sexual abuse as making a lifestyle choice.
If all of the authorities involved had been less concerned with their own agendas and prejudices and kept their focus on the children's welfare, some of these children might not have suffered the abuse and brutality.
It was hoped lessons would be learned, but have they? Sarah's abuse was by white and Asian men and began when an 18-year-old she trusted exploited her, introducing her to a group of older men.
They were just drinking and chatting and stuff like that, and then it quickly changed to get on the pool table, and they just started doing things, sexual things.
Did they all have sex with you?
Yeah.
And how old were you?
I was just going 14.
Yeah. And how old were the men?
They were from 18, 19 to 40s, 50s.
Of the 5 people who first raped you in that garage, have any of them been prosecuted?
No.
Has anyone who's ever sexually abused you been prosecuted?
No.
So they're all still out there?
Yeah.
Sarah had confided in a teacher that she was in a relationship with older men, but after she got angry about it, she was questioned by police for harassing the teacher.
The attitudes towards these kids are that they don't matter. They are an underclass. They're not the Chief Constable's children. They're not, you know, the Prime Minister's children. These are children often from very difficult backgrounds who don't have a voice. They are easy to dismiss. They are easy to blame.
But now that Sarah is an adult, she's still struggling to be taken seriously. Since reporting the historical abuse, police contacted social services and her own children were placed on the Child Protection Register over fears she was a danger to them. David Greenwood specialises in legal cases involving victims of grooming gangs.
I've had a number of cases where girls have been targeted by social services just by dint of having been in CSE in the past, being considered as being unfit to look after their children.
So potentially having their children taken away from them
Yeah.
because they were a victim of sexual abuse?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
That's scandalous, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what tends to happen, but it seems to be...
What tends to happen?
Yeah, it seems to be easy pickings for social services.
The British Association of Social Workers say their members' aim is to work with families to keep them together, but where it's deemed necessary to safeguard a child, it's ultimately up to the courts. For Maggie Oliver, the issue here is that focus again is on questioning the victim, not the predatory gangs, and that's why they continue to thrive.
The excuse that is always given by the authorities is that things have changed, that these are historical cases. If that was history, I wouldn't be in the place I'm in today because nobody would be coming to the foundation. That is entirely the opposite. The situation is perhaps even worse. We are inundated with current victims who have nowhere else to turn.
Jane, not her real name, escaped an abusive relationship 2 years ago, but began to worry her 14-year-old daughter, who we'll call Sally, was being groomed by her ex and that he was part of a grooming gang.
He'd sent her pictures of his privates, asked for pictures from her in return. He'd been meeting her behind my back, giving her lifts, giving her money, giving her cigs, smoking weed with her, buying her alcohol, promising to buy her gifts, offering to buy her cocaine, inviting her on late night drives. She just said that there was other men in the car. He'd do it when she knew she wasn't at home with me.
Jane's daughter Sally initially saw the man as a father figure, but that changed when the contact became more sexualised.
So what was he asking you specifically?
First he was just asking for pictures of my face, like, oh, show me what you look like. And then I was like, well, no, why? That's weird. And then he'd ask me for pictures, like, nude. So I just ignored him. He was texting asking to come pick me up. And then he ended up sending a picture of himself down there.
She was 14 at the time, and after other intrusions, her mother called the police.
I made 3 statements in the police station. They all got lost.
Did they tell you that your statements had got lost?
Yeah.
On 3 different occasions?
They couldn't find them.
Talk me through solely, what did the police do?
Nothing.
The man who tried to groom Sally is part of the same gang that allegedly continued to abuse Sarah. We've seen evidence she's repeatedly reported ongoing sexual abuse, but she's been arrested for public order offences or failing to provide a sample, and claims an officer even did this, slamming her hand in a cell door.
It's extremely typical to criminalise the victims. To investigate a very organised gang of perhaps 20 men is very labour intensive. It's far easier to dismiss the victim as being drunk, as being, guilty of public order offences.
Yeah. 2015, we had the highest conviction rate for child sexual abuse in our history. But it's gone backwards. It's gone backwards because of resourcing issues. It's gone backwards because you've lost experience. It's gone backwards because agencies have lost, well, they just got complacent.
People think the moment that someone turns 18 and that's it, they're an adult, that they can all of a sudden make this stop. And, that's completely untrue. You are going up against a gang of men that are very known for raping, for beating women, for torturing. It's a very scary thing to do.
Down that street there's a unit on there where they do stuff a lot of the time. A mattress upstairs and things like that on the floor. There's just a mattress.
Okay.
And then there's a house here on the right-hand side they do stuff in.
It just looks like a normal street to me.
Yeah, it's really not.
How many men would you say are involved in this?
About 50 odd.
There are about 50 odd who are involved in the actual sort of sexual abuse?
Yeah, that I know of, can name and stuff.
Do you think that they're all still abusing young girls today? Do you think there's evidence of that?
Yeah, there definitely are, yeah.
The numbers of cases are steadily increasing. Rotherham was a fairly big case for us, but the numbers of cases from different parts of the country are rising also.
And do they show the same hallmarks?
Everyone's the same. Everyone is the same. Social services intervene too late and too weakly. Police don't investigate early enough, don't disrupt abusers, and we're left with children who have had their lives ruined effectively.
West Yorkshire Police told Sky News that tackling serious sexual offences is a top priority. With regards to Sarah's case, they say all reports of criminal offences made by the victim have been appropriately recorded and assessed. Throughout the investigation, we've liaised with the Crown Prosecution Service. A number of people have been arrested and interviewed. We continue to engage with the complainant to do all we can to help signpost her to further support. We want victims to be reassured that we do and will treat them with the utmost sensitivity, and that their needs and welfare are paramount. But some victims feel ignored, sometimes criminalised, by a system they say is stacked against them. Jason Farrell, Sky News.